Israel has launched its biggest aerial airstrike against Hezbollah. Over 492 people have been killed across southern Lebanon and 1,650 people have been wounded. Over 100 women and children have been killed in these airstrikes. Israel has launched 650 attacks on some 1,350 Hezbollah target points. The Health Ministry of Gaza has said that at least 24 Palestinians have been killed so far and 60 have been wounded in these airstrikes of tensions that have escalated in August as Hezbollah had launched rockets and drones in the retaliation for Israel killing its top commander. All right, viewers, joining me at this point of time is Major Muhammad Ali Shah right now on the broadcast. I appreciate you joining me on the broadcast, sir. Thank you for speaking to NewsX. What essentially is your understanding of the tensions that are now escalating in this war conflict? Of course, we have already spoken about how crucial, making a peace pact into these series of events is. But at this given point of time, there are just countless deaths which are happening, at what an alarming rate when we talk about the airstrikes. And this specific action in point is the biggest airstrike that Israel has launched.
You are right. This is the biggest airstrike that Israel has launched. A few days back, they had launched 70 airstrikes. And because, firstly, let's begin from 17 September in the evening when we got the news that there has been a cyber attack and people have been killed and wounded. For the first time ever, we had heard of such a cyber attack where walkie-talkies, they were hacked and such kind of servers were hacked and such kind of an attack had taken place. Hezbollah reacted. And then Israel reacted and it went on like that. So now the very fact is, when we get the toll which is rising, so far it has risen to, I believe, 492 and over 1,500 wounded so far. And toll is likely to go up. It is indeed very, very alarming and distressing because this war is not coming down. This fire is only going on and spreading and spreading. And the very fact is, they say a nick in time saves 9. This should have, US should have aggressively intervened, not just by saying it, but by doing it. But they also have their own self-interest in it because they feel if the war goes on, if they continue helping Israel, their influence in that region will remain as long as Israel is bombarding the other places, be it Gaza, be it in Lebanon. It's okay. But US would be feeling it, that's my perception, that as long as that is going on, they will keep on having a hold on it. And there's no end to it. That way, this war will go on further. And my greatest fear is it will escalate in such a way that nobody would be able to control it. Today, there have been protests in Israel on Netanyahu's government, in fact, who rise up for humanity. They don't want bombardment. It's not about Arabs or about Jews only. It's about humanity. So humanity is above every religion in the world, in fact. So when you find innocents in Gaza, there were over 41,000 innocents, women, children, elderly who had died, civilians who had died. So here, had Israel targeted Hamas, specifically Hamas, then no one would have had an issue. But targeting Hamas is very complex because they've got tunnels underground, and especially they've made tunnels under schools, hospitals. That's way. But now when Hezbollah steps in and Israel reacts to Hezbollah, and then so there is only give and take. There is back and forth. There is no end to it. I'm seeing here, unfortunately, only one end could have been there, which would be US would have walked the talk. That would have been the only end. Otherwise, India could have played a very, very good role as an interlocutor because India is in good terms with Israel also, with Iran also, with other countries, with everyone, barring China and Pakistan. That's very relevant over here. But then, India could have actually played a very, very good role as an interlocutor. But US, it should have been initiated by US because the stakeholders, Qatar, Egypt, they were partially ready. They were peace talks. But the OIC, the Organization of Islamic Countries, they also are not on the same page. There's no unity amongst them as well.
Major
So,
Mohammad Ali Shah, let me get a minute right now to also mention that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has set a goal of demilitarizing Hamas in the Gaza and ensuring that it can no longer govern. But at this given point of time, the latest statement that is coming from Israel's airstrike against Hezbollah, the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has in fact also reiterated that complicated days are ahead. He has also made a big statement clarifying Israel's policy, stating that Israel will not wait for the threat. It is way ahead of it. Now, these are the comments which are right now only adding fuel to the fire. What do you make of this in complete rhetoric? Whenever we are talking about and whenever we are discussing, in fact, the focus remains to be on how there has to be an end to killing innocent lives. And amid this war, there are countless children, there are countless women, there are families that are being shattered.
Right. Whenever a war takes place between anywhere, because we saw it happening in Russia-Ukraine war as well, the first casualty that happens is of truth. There is a lot of information warfare from both sides that takes place. And there have been experts who have said that apparently Israel is deliberately targeting journalists because they report. But the very fact is, whether they are deliberately targeting or not, whether it's collateral damage or not, the loss of any civilian anywhere is not accepted. The International Court of Justice had declared President Putin as a war criminal when there were mass strikes in Ukraine and a lot of civilians had died. But the International Court of Justice did not name Netanyahu as a war criminal, despite the fact that there were over 41,000 deaths of civilians in Gaza. So there is no end to it. I'm saying because the reason is, why? Because the International Court of Justice is also influenced to a large extent by Americans. So Americans say, okay, they thought, let's get President Putin as a war criminal. But Netanyahu, since they've got the blessings of America, he wasn't termed as a war criminal. Whereas he did more damage than what President Putin had done to Ukraine on the civilians. So when we see this kind of an atmosphere building up, and we can only expect the fire to go on further. It will not douse down, unfortunately, and very, very sadly.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.